The battle for Libya is turning into a battle for oil ports. Muammar Gaddafi's forces are repeatedly launching airstrikes on oil hubs along the coast. Planes have dropped bombs near the refinery in Ras Lanuf. The nation's biggest oil terminal in Sidra was hit yesterday, according to Al Jazeera. Now, oil prices have been surging due to the revolution up until today. Take a look at crude oil over the past month. NYMEX crude up more than 17%. What's happening in today's trade? Well, for some insight, we're joined by Fadel Gheit of Oppenheimer Co. He's one of the most accurate forecasters on oil, making him a Bloomberg best. So perhaps, Fadel, you can explain to us why energy stocks appear to be collapsing this morning.
Well, basically, they ran up too much in the last few weeks. Most oil stocks or energy stocks are up 10, 15%. Some of them are up as much as 30%. They are taking a big breather right now, coming down. Although crude oil prices are only off by $1 or $2, they are, as you indicated, 16% above or up this year. I don't think a pullback will be significant. I still think oil prices will be around $100 for a lot longer than many people think. I am not at all in the camp of $150 oil. I'm not also in the camp of $70 or $80 oil. I think we'll be close to where we are here.
But up until we saw these, uprisings in the Middle East, we still had forecasters looking for $100 a barrel based on fundamentals, based on China. Given the disappointing economic data out of China today, are we seeing a problem in that argument?
Well, absolutely. Let's talk about fundamentals. If we can produce oil from the Canadian oil sand profitably at $70, oil prices should not be much higher than $70. And that's what OPEC said before. They do believe that oil prices should be trading about $70, and that will be good for the economy, good for OPEC, and good for the oil industry. However, obviously, we have tremendous speculation. The financial players are back into the market with vengeance, and the reason is very simple. The CFTC had a budget of $110 million this year to enforce some restriction on traders, and because of the squabble in Washington over the budget, they are not going to get this $110 million. So all financial speculators saw it's a very wide opening here, because nobody is going to be monitoring what they do, and they will also have a tremendous impact on this.
But there's no certainty on the Republican budget as yet, so why would that provision be influencing the trade this much?
Well, if the CFTC gets this $110 million and put all the bells and whistles, I think clearly that oil prices are not going to be fluctuating by the same amplitude that they have been in the last 2 or 3 weeks. $150 or even $120 will have to be supported by some fundamentals, not just pure speculation. But the turmoil in the Middle East gave trader very legitimate reason, if you will, to make a bet on higher oil prices. If the current turmoil gets into the Persian Gulf area and impacted output there is no question in my mind oil prices will be much higher. But from what I see now, there is very low probability that we are going to see physical supply disruption from the other areas, Saudi Arabia or Kuwait. But the Libyan production is already factored in. Libya is out of the game right now. Whatever happened in Libya is immaterial going forward, because the market has already discounted 1.6 million barrel a day of Libyan production.
Right. Well, it's a fear of what might come, and I want to ask you specifically about that. Friday, that day of rage, according to Human Rights Watch, is planned. We had the U.S. ambassador to Saudi yesterday telling us no way, no how is Saudi going to look anything like Egypt. I know you, earlier in the week, told Business Insider's Henry Blodgett something entirely different. You are expecting, perhaps not this week, but in the near future, regime change.
Well, I must say, again, depending on a regime change in Libya or in Egypt, or there will be changes. I'm not sure exactly, and the sooner the regime implement these changes, the better off we are all going to be. We don't need another bloody confrontation in Saudi Arabia or elsewhere. But what I'm saying here, it is inevitable that there will be changes in the Middle East. This regime, it's time for them to go. The question is not if, in my view, is how soon they will go or how soon they will change to basically reflect the needs of the people. So my view here is that whether 6 months from now or a year from now, there will be changes. The extent of these changes will reflect the outcome of what's happening right now. We still have problems in Yemen. We still have problems in Bahrain. We still have problems in Oman. We still have problems in Egypt.
Right.
Has not settled yet. It is still in flux. If people think that it's peaceful again, it's not going to be peaceful for another 6 months, maybe even longer. So we will have to be on our toes for the next 6 to 12 months, because I do believe things are going to get worse before they get better.
Right. Bottom line, as you say, and rightly point out, the story isn't over whether or not we see people in the streets in Saudi tomorrow. $100 a barrel for the next 12 months. I mean, if you're saying this uncertainty is an overhang for a while, will you go that far?
We are going to see oil prices around $100 if we see any strong sign that Saudi Arabia is under pressure, which I don't put very high probability on it. I don't want to be a fearmonger here and say people is going to happen. What I am saying is eventually it will happen. The means by which it will change, we don't know. Is it going to be a bloody one or is it going to be a peaceful one? It depends. If the government responds soon enough, I think will avert a bloody confrontation. If they don't, it will be ugly.
All right. Fadel, thanks for your insight.